so quickly. But for those who are just seeing another video, hello mortal. Welcome again to the Kingdom of Kaiser and Astraea. Last time, which was literally like 10 minutes ago, I got a water bottle and went to the restroom. That's all I did. But in the last stream, we talked about demon marriages, got Grandpa's approval in the form of a ghostly wind, and then we got dragged down to the demon world as per the usual. So yeah, that's where we are now. We literally just looked up from our crouched position on the floor after Sero had pulled me away from being summoned. So, we'll just hippity-hop right into it. I looked up to see 5 figures, strangers, monsters, beings that I didn't recognize. They all looked down at me in surprise, as if I had dropped in at a very bad time. One man looked like an orc from a fantasy game without the tusks. He had broken horns and a very frightening aura around him as he stared at me. The other male was lanky in comparison, more human-like, but I could almost feel power emanating from him regardless. One of the women who was staring at me had rabbit ears. Rabbit ears. They twitched on top of her head as she looked at me and gripped her staff. They seemed harmless, yet she had animal ears. The one creature I couldn't discern the sex of seemed more excited to see me than surprised. What freaked me out about them was that they had wings sticking out of their back and they were floating. Last time, we learned how to fly, and it was a lot of fun. The last woman, however, set off alarm bells in my head as I looked at her surprised face, her hair, her eyes. Diana. As she stared, the woman turned her body towards me in recognition to the name I called her. It was her.
What are you doing here?
Well, I just wanted to come say hi, see how you were doing. Diana walked towards me and stared down at me. It was odd. She didn't look like a human, yet I wasn't afraid of her demon form as it towered over me. I was more in shock as to what was going on. Before Diana could speak further, most likely to repeat herself, a figure quickly stepped up and bowed to her, kneeling beside me.
My lady, please forgive me. I felt something moving between our worlds and assumed the Demon Lord was to blame, so I intercepted his summoning of this human.
You! So I wasn't the only one who felt the change in the air.
Yeah. Diana stared at the man kneeling beside me as I kept my eyes up at her. As she turned her gaze back to me, I gulped silently. What was she going to do with me? This all felt wrong. I was about to be married. I was about to live my happily ever after with the man I loved. Now I was in a place I didn't know with Diana and a bunch of other creatures I didn't recognize. My instinct was to. So, with the nature of being with Sam, I kind of want to be, more aggressive. So, we're gonna attack and probably die. Are you ready? I am so ready. Attack! My mind couldn't help it. Here was a woman who had haunted me and forcibly taken my energy before departing from my life. She was defenseless. I jumped up, lifting the hem of my dress with one hand to move swiftly before grabbing Diana's throat and tackling her up against the table behind her. Damn, I want to see this shit. Oh no! Diana, I'm sorry! Ah!
Isaiah!
Oh,
why, you little...
Oh no!
Stay back!
Despite me crushing Diana's neck, she held her hands out, stopping the beings around us from interfering. I didn't care. I only wanted to hurt her. Oh shit. I'm so mean. I wasn't supposed to be here. She had to be the reason I was pulled to this place against my will. She had done damage to me before. She could do it again. What did she want with me? Why am I here, Diana? Why did you bring me here? Why did you take me away from my wedding?
I didn't bring you here!
Nani? Liar! You're the only one who could have done this to me. Why can't you leave me alone? Are you so angry that you picked me over you that you kidnapped me on my own wedding day?
Just listen!
All of a sudden, my mind went blank and my grip around Diana's throat relaxed, releasing her. I felt myself step back away from Diana as she stood up and curled over her body, coughing and gasping for air. Damn! I couldn't move my body. What was happening? I watched, unable to do anything, as Diana snapped her fingers towards one of the beings in the room, the one who called her Azaor. Obediently, he rushed over to her and gently wrapped an arm around her shoulders, helping her up on her feet and standing her up straight. Diana looked up at him and brought him closer to her with one hand without him fighting back. As he got close to her, she locked lips with him, and both of them closed their eyes. Was she taking his energy? I couldn't exactly move, so all I could do was stare. After a short moment, Diana pulled away from the man. The person who was holding her backed away as well, bowing his head to her. Diana then looked to me with an almost stone-cold glare as she rubbed her neck.
I didn't bring you here. The Demon Lord, the boy's father, tried bringing you to his castle, and my servant interrupted the summoning, bringing you to me instead. You should be thankful that you're not dead right now.
Fair enough. I didn't want to believe her. Why would she care about me? She could kill me now and take the boys for herself, just like she wanted before. Diana stared at me and sighed before snapping her fingers and releasing me from her spell. I staggered on my legs, now feeling control over my body. But before I could attack again, Diana held her arms out to her sides.
You may attack me again if you wish. However, I promise that hurting or killing me will not take you back to where you came from.
I eyed Diana, not knowing anymore if she was lying to manipulate me or actually telling the truth. There's no way to know with her. If she really didn't bring me here, then she was still responsible for keeping me. Send me back.
Are you calm?
Why are you even bothering with her, Succubus? She's a human.
Shh! Let them figure it out! Indeed. The faster this gets settled, the faster we can get back to our council.
Kept my eyes on Diana, not wanting to trust her, but having to anyway. This was beyond wrong, but I had to go along with it in order to get back. I nodded to Diana and she sighed softly in relief. I looked around at the other beings in the room. They all kept their gaze to me, unsure of what I would do or say. Diana, however, led the conversation.
First, can you tell me what happened to you?
And we've cycled back to the typical thing.
Shadow summoning.
Shadow summoning.
One of your...
On my honor, it wasn't any of...
My lady.
Sorry. Damnable creatures.
Well, dear, it seems that you were to be either a new harem girl for the Demon Lord to ravish, or bait for the boys to return to their father's side. Either way, I doubt you would have lived long had the Demon Lord gotten his hands on you.
Very true. A violent shiver ran up my spine. Was it true? I would have died?
Wait a minute. This girl knows about the Demon Lord's heirs?
Yes. Hilariously enough, she was set to marry one of them, as you can see from her garb.
As Diana motioned towards my dress, I realized how vulnerable I was and felt extremely self-conscious. I wrapped my arms around myself as Diana let out a sigh.
Well, since you do not belong here, the obvious thing to do is to send you home.
I couldn't help but stared wide-eyed at Diana. She was really going to send me home? Really? I couldn't believe my ears. You really will send me back?
Of course. It should be easy to do once everything is in order. It'll be like you never left the human world.
Wait, like I never left the human world? Dun dun dun, what do you mean? Diana stared before chuckling softly and gesturing to the room and beings within it.
Dear, do you not realize where you are? You are in the demon world.
My mind went blank. It couldn't be. I couldn't be in the demon world. No way. No way in hell. I felt myself back up against the wall behind me, suddenly afraid. I was in another world? How? That was impossible. Diana stepped towards me, both of her hands softly trying to show me she meant no harm as she positioned them in front of her body.
Do not panic. We will send you back now, so there's nothing to worry about.
How will you power the spell? Bringing someone here is no easy task, but sending someone back consumes much more energy.
I'll use what energy I have now and rest. We can organize the siege another time when I fully recover. It's not like the Demon Lord can escape the corner we've trapped him in, so we do have some time to spare.
You'd waste time and energy on this human. We must strike now while the Demon Lord is weakened.
But the human doesn't belong here. She needs to go home.
Shall I prepare the return spell?
Do. I grant you permission to use my energy to power the spell.
With a nod, the lanky man held out his hand towards the wall. I looked over in the direction it was aimed at. Diana's shadow. Yeah, we know how this goes.
You will obey my command. Open the gates to the void, and allow passage to the world we seek.
Transitum per peto tranives. Ubi apernit. Iano io.
Woo,
You must
magic.
leave now. The faster you leave, the quicker we can close the void.
Go!
Faye.
How dare you interfere with my summoning!
No! Human! Use the passage! Now!
Didn't have to tell me twice. I try, and it didn't.
Human will never, ever leave this world alive! You spineless worm!
Close the portal! The Demon Lord might get through!
But the human...
Close it!
Yep, it fails.
I don't sense the Demon Lord anywhere.
The worm has to scurry through the shadows to try and fight back. He'll be dead soon enough.
How is she, guard?
Diana seemed to look uninjured, but her body was twitching from the aftermath of the magical attack. Her visible eye was shut tight as she dug her fingers into the guard's jacket to cling to him. As her eye opened, I saw not a blood ruby red color, but I saw a cold and unfriendly golden color painted over her irises. Her mouth opened as she panted for air, and I could see hunger in her facial expression, but she continued to stare at the wall, not wanting to make eye contact with anyone.
There are no physical wounds, but she's been weakened. I must give her my energy so she can recover.
And they go off to Yes. I can't go home.
There's an imp in the castle. That is the only way the Demon Lord could have been able to interfere.
That's unfortunate.
You! Guards by the door! Hunt it down!
Pair of guards go and hunt it down, like they said. How was I going to get home? Would I ever be able to go home? Faye is
We'll
like,
get you home,
yo.
okay? Diana just needs a little rest, okay?
She needs more than rest. She needs to use a different spell to send her back. The Demon Lord will expect her to use the shadow spell again.
How about the normal way? I'm sure we can connect to a witch, or even the warlock she used before, to reopen a portal to the human world.
The warlock she used to get to the human world died, remember? And he was the most powerful warlock in the human world, practically a god himself. What other human could be used to open a portal without another human dying?
Yeah.
That was my grandfather.
It was merely a suggestion. The faster we get this human home, the faster we can move on and finish off the Demon Lord.
Well, what are we going to do with the human now?
We can give her a room to rest in. Humans need sleep after all. Maybe by the time she wakes up, we'll think of a solution.
Come,
Yep, she leads me to the room.
here. I'll bring you to the open ambassador's room. You are free to rest there for now.
Normally I would be a jerk. But, you know, I feel bad about nearly strangling her, so I'm going to say, what about Diana?
She'll be fine. She's being taken care of right now.
Why not just say she's getting
And the brute strikes again with the lack of tasteful filtering between his brain and his mouth. You still have yet to prove me wrong about my expectations of you.
Keep testing me, assassin. I'm not afraid to rip your spine out of your body and use it as a back scratcher.
You can very well try, brute.
Ugh! Would you both knock it off?
Come, everything will be taken care of.
Yep. The Demon Lord had plans for me, but what is he aiming for? Ah! It could have been bait, it could have been revenge. I didn't know, nor could I figure it out now. At least I was safe. At least I hoped I was safe. So we're
Rest
led to
here
our
for
room.
now. When Diana is well again, we can discuss what to do.
Indubitably. Thanks! Uh-huh. And then awesome bed. Yep. I basically just go to sleep. Right. Darkness surrounded my mind, my dreams remaining silent and hushed in the cool and calm black. No nightmares appeared and no sounds were made. I was simply resting, and that was all my body needed. I let my thoughts wander in my subconscious, thinking about what was going to happen now. What will the boys do when they realize I'm gone? I feel like Sam would freak out. What will he do? I imagined him finding a way through to the demon world and pulling me back to where I belonged, wrapping me in his arms and swearing to never let me go. I would wow. I can read, I promise you. I would be relieved and we would be married just as we planned. How unrealistic was that? I had to be realistic right now. I was stuck, and the only one who seemed to be able to send me back was Diana and her companions, whoever they were. I had to trust them, whether I liked it or not. Eventually, I did rise from my sleep, somehow fully refreshed and calm. How could that have been?
Did you have a good rest?
Indubitably. Did you? I turned my head to see Diana at the door, arms crossed and leaning against the door's archway. She had a look of concern and pure curiosity on her face as she awaited my answer. Now I'm going to say, are you okay? Diana stared at me, slightly shocked. Did she not expect me to ask?
Well, yes, I'm fine now that I've had proper rest.
That's good. Diana shook her head and stepped into the room, closing the door behind her.
So we need to find another way to get you back to the human world. It won't be easy, but I believe it can be done by tonight at the latest.
Sweet. Tonight, really? No.
It will take time to get our shadow agents to gather the necessary supplies, but they are not hard to obtain, being that we're in a position of power. You must be lucky.
What do you mean? And she explains the map. We're in a position of power.
That is where we are currently, the center of the abyssal plains.
Here's the map. Yep.
Everything we need for the spell is within this area. It will just take time to gather the materials and prepare it.
Fabulous. What should I do until
My
then?
suggestion? Stay in this room. I can mark this room as off limits so that no demon may enter that would confuse you for an intruder and kill you.
I gulped. I did not want to die.
However, I cannot stop you from whatever you wish to do. Just don't leave the castle.
I nodded as she turned to leave. As she stepped out, Diana looked back to me with a reassuring look.
We'll get you back to the human world. I promise you that.
Yay! What was I going to do? We are gonna leave. We are gonna... I'm actually gonna... So, I want to get to somewhat to a new person, so... I don't remember the combinations I've gone down before, so I'm going to, save. So I get to the right person. 2 directions to go. So we've gone right, and we've gone right and left. So the only place we should go left. I went left. Everything was definitely medieval style, and it felt a bit small in the hall. It was like I was in a fairy tale, walking around in a wedding dress, which is so weird. The passage seemed long, decorated with wall candles, paintings, and random curtains and flowers. It was mystical to see, and I smiled. As I approached another fork in the hall, however, I sighed. Really? How does anyone find their way around? I looked back, knowing I hadn't walked far from my room. I could turn back. Yet... Okay. We're just going to keep going left. I was headed left anyway. Might as well make another left. I turned left once more and headed down the hall, greeted by a more fantastical decor. The sound of a heated battle caught my attention. I quickly rushed over to see a door, barely opened a crack, and behind it echoed the sound of clashing swords. Oh, haven't we seen this before?
You're holding back!
Yeah.
Enough!
Might be. We've seen that. We are gonna go right. I was heading left, so I decided to go in the opposite direction this time. I turned right and headed down the hall, greeted by a more fantastical decor. The hall became longer and longer as I continued to walk. However, I suddenly stopped at the sound of a shout. Wait, what?
Beware my evil reign and bow to your new overlord!
Do I just suck at this game? Okay. Oh no, did I just save over? I thought I was gonna load. Why do I suck so bad? Okay. Load. Yes. What about Diana? And skip. La la la. Are you okay? Skip. Explore. Skip. Okay. So... Save. I thought before we had gone left. Okay, let's try left. Medieval style. Okay. So left, or no, yeah, left. Oh, wow, this is embarrassing. We go right. 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 Fantastical decor. Okay. My journey down the hall led me to a set of stairs which led to the door outside. I remember Diana's worrying, but I was curious. I slowly approached the door and opened it, peeking outside to what it held.
Soldiers!
Oh, we found Sergeant. Okay, so I had gone left, left, right. Yeah, left, right. Now we went right. And so the only one left is right, left? Oh, God, it's too much for me. It's too much for my brain. I jumped at the sound of a commander's voice, feeling the chill that ran through me when I first encountered the Demon Lord in the incubi's vision. The Demon Lord wasn't here, was he? I peeped back the door once again to see a large, muscular man who I had met when I fell into this world, barking orders at a large group of soldiers. They were all attentive and obedient towards each command he shouted.
You all performed well in holding the Demon Lord off. But if we want to win this war, then you will need to become much stronger. We want to win, yes?
Yes, Commander!
Good! Then pair up and fight like you were fighting the Bastard Lord himself. Keep going until I give you clearance to stop.
On his orders, the soldier turned either left or right and began to spar as if they were seriously battling each other. It was almost scary to watch, swords clanging violently and shields beating against steel.
Human!
I felt my fear take over as it called out my rays, making me stand up straight as the door swung fully open on its own. I wasn't able to hide anymore.
Front and center!
On its own, my body began to walk towards the muscle-ogred man, and I was soon standing in front and center with the sparring clashing behind me.
Do you have jurisdiction to leave your room, human?
Yes! I felt my answer force itself out, as if I had no control over myself. Why was this happening? I looked at the ogre man and noticed his golden eyes burning into my gaze. Was he using his powers on me? The man crossed his arms and looked at my form.
Why are you here, then?
I was curious. With one raised eyebrow, the man uncrossed his arms and looked over to a weapon rack. On it were spears, swords, shields, and other weaponry that I really did not want to deal with while wearing a wedding dress.
Tell me, are you proficient with a sword?
Was he seriously going to make me fight? I somehow regained control of myself and shook my head. No, I mean, I could do taekwondo, but...
Taekwondo? What is that?
I gulped, but remembered that he was a demon. Human fighting was not like demon fighting. Well, it's a form of fighting without weapons.
What, like brawling?
No, it's like precision fighting, I guess? I mean, I can't really show you in this dress, but...
Then take off your clothes.
My face instantly turned red. What? I stepped away and crossed my arms over my chest, feeling myself become red in anger and embarrassment. No! Why would I do that? The man growled and sighed, rubbing his head. Did he seriously think asking me was a good idea? What was he, a pervert? The man then crossed his arms again and stared plainly at me.
If clothes hinder you from defending yourself, you shouldn't wear any. You can look as fancy as you want for whatever reason you want, but fancy clothes won't protect you from a blade.
I stared. Is he seriously giving me a lecture about clothes and defending myself? He looked pretty serious, so I continued to listen without interrupting.
There's only one thing in this world that should matter to you. Yourself. If you can't protect yourself, then you need to fix that. Even if that means stripping out of that wedding garb thing or whatever you're wearing.
But I don't need to defend myself right now. I just wanted to show you.
Then show me or don't suggest the idea. Words also have power here. Unlike the human world, we take what we say very seriously.
Well, damn. I suddenly felt small looking at the man. Was he trying to teach me a lesson? I understood what he meant, but was he trying to teach me or berate my reaction? He was making no sense, yet I felt like I should have been listening intently and obeying. Was it his commanding aura? The man shook his head and pointed at the door I came from.
Return to where you came from. You'll be sent back to the human world soon enough. Don't distract my soldiers from their training.
I looked behind me to find some of the soldiers looking at me as they fought. Some in hunger, some in confusion, others in disgust. My arms wrapped themselves around my form and I shivered before nodding to the commander and rushing towards the door. Maybe I should have stayed in my room. I marched back to my room, determined not to allow my curiosity to get the better of me anymore. In my room until night game, we got soup. We remember this has imp in it, so yeah, no. And then we're gonna go.
I suggest not trying that. As good as it smells, the taste would not sit well with you. It's not much, but it's human food. Eat up.
I will. Yep. I'm eating. Oh, I feel so much better.
I can tell. Take a moment to finish eating. Then we'll head for the ritual.
Hallelujah. We're ready to go.
We finished the main preparations. We just need to head over and we'll start.
Hallelujah. Praise Jesus. Ikimasho.
Huh? Are you sure?
Very sure. I'm heading home. Except not really, because we know how this goes every time we try to do this. Oh God. Diana led me down the corridors to the war room, where it had originally arrived, to reveal the table covered in plants and artifacts of different kinds. Right.
This should work.
You're in
Indeed.
doubt?
Have to be after the last time we tried sending her home. Do we have a human anchor?
No, you're on your own this time. But we'll make sure you survive casting it.
The spell should work, however, because we'll be using energy material. It will only require a slice of your energy on top of these items, which your guard can refill immediately after this.
Just make sure you don't die casting it.
Diana smiled at her guard before returning to me.
So, are you ready to return home?
Yep-a-rooney. She didn't have to ask. I'm ready. Yeah.
Otunibris portas, apriat nobis, largiatur exidium, desiderium.
We already know that this isn't going to work. Yep. My bedroom. I can feel the air
Hurry and go
conditioning.
through! This is your chance!
Oh my god, I can't wait!
She will never leave this world alive!
The Demon Lord's voice ran through the air just as I saw my fingertips pass through the tear. What stopped the rest of my body was a red light and force, forcing me and Diana back from the opening. We land with a thud, get kind of fucked up, I get really upset.
That should have worked! How could it have failed?
Shadow gets really upset.
Must have missed something. Was there anything we had forgotten?
No. I verified everything myself.
Then why was the Demon Lord able to overpower a gate spell?
I highly doubt you know either, brute.
Stop fighting! We need to make a plan and all of you are just being stupid! Stupid!
Are you alright, Isaiah?
I'm fine.
I was too lost in my mind to fully understand what was going on around me. I was so close. I felt the other side. I had almost made it home. Why couldn't I go home? Diana's grunt of pain next to me made me shoot my head towards her, and I watched her slowly push herself off the ground and glare at the table.
The Demon Lord must have done something more than simply bring her here.
What could he have done?
The Demon Lord is incapable of doing anything of the sort. His lackey imps must have done something to her.
A spell?
A curse.
I looked at the rabbit woman, seeing her stare wide-eyed at me. The other demons stared at me as well, and suddenly I felt like I was on display. Was something wrong with me?
She will not leave the demon world alive. He must have placed some sort of curse on her to prevent her from leaving this plane. In order to leave, she'd have to die.
What? My mind went blank. Did the Demon Lord really curse me? Was I forced to stay in this world until I died? I could never go back?
Are you suggesting a barrier curse?
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm suggesting.
That would explain the red energy that sealed the tear.
But dark magic like that requires...
Blood of 1,000 demons. He must have sacrificed part of his army to cast a curse on her that would prevent her from leaving.
The Demon Lord is that desperate for her. The only way to break that kind of curse is to kill the caster, the Demon Lord himself.
She's trapped here. Until this war is over.
My body began to shiver violently. The Demon Lord killed 1,000 demons just to trap me here. Why? Why? I slammed my fist into the ground and began to scream. I want to go home! Why? I could feel the sympathy and anger in the room, but I didn't care. I was beyond livid. I was far past broken. I was seeing red. I don't... As my voice ripped through the air, a bright light erupted through the room once again. Everyone covered their eyes, but Diana quickly scrambled to get on her knees and covered me with her body. She held me tightly as the light invaded the space and slowly began to fade. As the light finally died, everyone moved their hands to see what had happened. The boys have tumbled through, and Sam is gonna be pissed. He is gonna be so mad. In the air was a white tear that was slowly opening, facing down towards the table. Something was coming. I could feel it in the air. The guard summoned his spear and pointed at the tear, glaring at it and gritting his teeth.
Something's coming!
No shit. In reply, Diana summoned what looked like a saber and placed it in front of me.
Ready yourselves! It could be the Demon Lord!
I doubt it. The other demons in the room readied themselves and stared at the tear, either holding a weapon or preparing a spell. I felt the air change, becoming heavier as the tear began to grow. The energy around it began to pulsate, making everyone in the room that much more tense. I stared at the tear as well, frightened as to what was coming. Was it the Demon Lord? His minions? My mind began to cycle through fearful ideas of what was about to appear. Love it. My heart almost stopped. Fallen from the tear and landing on the table were the 5 Incubi brothers. They were piled on top of one another, having come through one at a time. However, as the last brother landed, the boys fell to one side, toppling off of the table and landing on the floor. The rebels around me stared at the fallen pile of Incubi, confused and surprised. As the tear in the air closed, the ogre man was the first to lower his sword.
What the hell?
Who are they?
Careful! They could be the Demon Lord's men!
No! The rebels looked to me as I stood up, Diana following and still protecting me, and I stared at the boys on the ground. They all looked dazed and a bit shell-shocked from having fallen twice in rapid succession. I almost couldn't believe it. They were there, right in front of me. My mind couldn't help but remember how I'd first met them. They had all been on the floor of my mansion, unconscious and wounded. Now they were in front of me in the demon world. I know them. Babes! I stared at the one I was meant to marry, seeing him slowly shake his head and rise from the ground. He came to rescue me. My heart became overjoyed and full of warmth and happiness. I was going to go home. The question was, how? At the sight of the boys kept the demon's attention. A second tear opened above them, causing everyone to look up. 4 women dropped down from the tear and somehow managed to fall into the arms of the Incubi behind Sam. You know, I still don't really know what the point is of these characters. Like, just to be like, hey, they're not forever alone without you, I guess. I don't know.
Whoa! Are you okay? I gotcha! It's okay!
Eric!
She's too much.
Love, I've got you!
James!
Whoa! Are you alright?
I stared wide-eyed. Their wives came too? I watched as the boys and the girls finally planted themselves on the ground before looking around. As Sam spotted me, however, his eyes widened in both surprise and anger. I knew it! He's gonna fucking kill a bitch. His gaze pinned itself to Diana, who still stood protectively in front of me, and his eyes instantly became painted over in an almost harsh gold color.
You're fucking dead!
I knew it! I called it! Oh no! Within a blink, Sam and Diana vanished and reappeared against a wall behind me. I turned to see what was happening. I gasped at the sight. Sam was pinning Diana to a stone wall, crushing her neck and holding her high enough that her feet were dangling above the floor. Oh, God. This is the second time this has happened.
I warned you, bitch! I will tear you to shreds!
Sam! Before I could move, however, the guard jabbed the blunt end of his spear into one of Sam's knees, causing Sam to release Diana and buckle to his knees.
You mangy dog!
The guard quickly twirled his spear around and thrust it forward to skewer Sam, but missed as Sam fell back and laid himself across the ground, glaring up at his attacker. Filled with almost an terrifying rage, the guard stepped forward and went for another stab at Sam. Yeah. Fortunately, Sam pushed the weapon away from him and directed it to the side, causing the blade to clang against the ground. The guard quickly pulled back and thrust his spear forward again, but hit the floor again as Sam turned his body to the side. However, the guard wouldn't let Sam get up as he quickly continued to pull back and thrust his spear forward at Sam over and over, practically trapping him against the ground. I wanted to step in, but was too afraid of the blinding speed at which the guard was jamming his spear at Sam. I didn't want to provoke him to stab me in a blind adrenaline rush. I looked at Diana, seeing her coughing and holding her neck while gasping for air. Her hand was glowing a soft purple tint, as if she were healing her neck from Sam's attack. Everyone else, however, had backed up away from the fighting pair, not wanting to become collateral damage from either of their attacks. As Sam sat up, the guard retaliated with a lightning-fast response and kicked Sam back down, slamming the bottom of his foot into Sam's face to do so. However, before the guard could slam his spear down on the target, Sam rolled out of the way and got up on his hands in a spinning handstand. When am I going to say something? Come on, hello? I never seen him fight like this, even with Malix, but Sam was still undoubtedly trained in combat, even when he didn't have the upper hand. Really? We're going to have to go through this whole fight? Why am I not speaking up and being like, guys, stop fighting? Like, this is a big misunderstanding. Oh my God. Sam flipped onto his feet and faced against the guard in martial arts defense stance before a sudden barrage of spear thrusts forced Sam to duck, lean, and dodge away from the guard. Unrelenting, the guard thrust his spear as fast as machine gun shots towards Sam, no longer looking to aim precisely but hoping to land at least once. At one particularly hard thrust, the guard leaned his body into the attack but only managed to miss Sam by mere centimeters as Sam tilted to the side and let the spear cross over his chest without making contact. I looked at Diana, hoping that she would call off her guard, but she continued to stare at the floor, recuperating from Sam's attack. Don't get involved or stop Sam. I don't want to get in Sam's way. What? I don't know what the right thing to do is. Oh no. I have no idea. Okay. I'm scared that stopping him is gonna like backfire and get me hurt. Cause I mean he wants to protect me. But I don't want Sam to get hurt either. Really, it's the guard needs to be stopped. But, it's Seto that needs to be stopped, but I guess we'll stop him. We'll try. I had to stop this from becoming worse. I stepped forward, not entirely getting between the two fighters, and shouted to get both of their attention. Stop it! Sam looked at me, suddenly obeying my voice as it rang out through the room. The guard, however, leaned back for a second attack, uncaring of my command. Before the guard could follow through with his attack, a large snap echoed through the air, forcing everyone in the room, including me and Sam, to look over and see Diana glaring at her guard.
Enough!
Diana slowly straightened and pointed at the space beside her, ushering the guard to quickly run over where she had indicated and turn back to face the rest of us. Sam looked to me with eyes full of bloodlust, begging me to silently continue the fight. I glared back, trying to break through his rage to get him to calm down. He relented and gritted his teeth before nodding and looking over to Diana and her guard.
I'll forgive you for now, brute.
Forgive me? What makes you think that the one who needs forgiving is me?
I didn't do anything!
Then why is she here then? Sam!
Sam and I turned to look at James, who was incredibly furious. By the look of it, the others were as well.
Does she look like she's been harmed or in chains?
He's got a point. Sam looked at me as I met his gaze in almost perfect sync. I was indeed fine. Diana didn't hurt me. In fact, it had been the opposite. She wanted to protect me and send me home. The look in Sam's eyes, however, melted into one of longing and relief when he finally absorbed my appearance. It was like watching... Oh, right, because I'm in a wedding dress, so he probably looks at me and he's like, no, I wasn't supposed to see you in your wedding dress. Oh, you look so beautiful. Oh, like... that like melting thing, But yeah, it was like watching a beast instantly calm at the sight of its master. Without giving me a moment to breathe, he rushed over and wrapped me in his arms, burying his face into my shoulder. Ah, Sam.
I'm so happy you're safe.
He really is. He reminds me of Beauty and the Beast. My heart melted as I heard him whisper in my ear. I gripped him tightly, returning the close embrace and thankful that I could feel the one I loved once again in my arms. Sam tightened his grip on me, nuzzling into my shoulder. It's okay, or kiss him. I'm gonna kiss him because I love him. I gently moved my head and kissed over his cheek and neck, wanting to show him my affection and relief that it was him in my arms again. Sam shuddered slightly at the touch of my lips and planted his own loving kiss on my neck. Fought back a moan at the rush of pleasure I felt from his lips touching my skin, managing to hide it. Yeah, let's not. We've got a room full of tense people here. At last, Sam and I slowly broke away from each other. Sam looked over to Diana with a softer expression, but nonetheless a serious one.
Why is she here?
Diana pressed her lips together. I could see a small form of hesitation in her eyes as she looked at Sam and quickly formulated her answer.
Ask your father.
Yeah. I felt a burst of angry energy flash beside me at her answer, which drew my attention back to Sam. His body became wrapped in a dark green aura as his eyes flashed gold once again.
What did you say?
Your father brought her here and placed a curse on her. She can't leave this world until she dies, or...
Another flash of energy. The aura around Sam pulsated, almost crackling like lightning around his form. Sam gritted his teeth and I could tell rage was slowly taking over.
I'm gonna kill that old fuck!
Sam! I quickly placed my hand on his shoulder, knowing that he needed to calm down. We had a plan. He didn't need to be this angry right now. Sam looked over at me, calming down slightly at the sight of my worried face. We're going to kill him, Sam. Calm down. The aura around Sam slowly began to dwindle and die out as the golden glow in his eyes faded. I let out a small sigh of relief as I felt the muscles in his shoulders relax under my hand. As I looked down, Sam spoke up once again, his voice sounding drained of his sudden rage.
You got a plan to kill him?
Yes, we plan to kill him in 1 week's time.
And here we go. It cycled back. Cycled around.
Where is this number coming from, Succubus?
We need to fully prepare ourselves for the final stage, which I'm certain will only take a couple of days. We've pinned him into a corner. The Demon Lord will fall.
That's rather bold to assume.
She's right, though. We can prepare everything in that time frame, right?
And if he does the same and attacks us before then?
He won't.
I watched as Diana walked over and cleared the table of materials they had gathered for the gate spell, revealing a physical map of the abyssal plains. She pointed to a spot on the map, a peninsula surrounded by water labeled as the Decaying Sea.
We'll cast a barrier spell along the edge of the peninsula and around the castle. He and his army won't be able to move from that spot until we break it ourselves, which will be during the siege.
Where would we get the energy needed for that kind of spell?
We won't be using energy.
The other rebel demons in the room suddenly tensed up, staring at Diana in surprise. What was she going to do?
My lady, you're not suggesting...
The Demon Lord has shown how far he is willing to go to win this war. It's only fitting to show the extent we'll go to in response.
As much as I agree with you, this seems a little rash.
What are you guys talking about?
Are they allowed to know?
I plan to put a barrier curse around the Demon Lord's castle and army. It's temporary, so it won't need the blood of 1,000 demons. But it will need the sacrifice of at least one demon life.
And I assume you'll be sacrificing one of my soldiers.
Is this our only option?
There are other options, but they will most likely take a lot of energy to pull off.
It just depends on what we want to do. If we want to do this immediately, then the barrier curse is indeed the best option.
I'm not opposed to performing the curse. As rash as it is, it will make our lives easier in the long run.
You expect me to hand over one of my men? My soldiers joined the rebellion to kill the Demon Lord, not to get their throats slit before even seeing the final battle?
It's wrong, but can we really afford to spend any more energy? Diana already spent a lot trying to send the human back.
What is the other option?
The rabbit woman and the fairy moved towards the map and pointed at the peninsula.
We could form tall rock walls around the castle. Box them in.
It will take a lot of our energy, but we can recover in that week period.
And what will stop the Demon Lord from tearing down the walls?
I can imbue the walls with holy magic.
The incubi and I looked at him, all of us equally surprised. A demon with holy magic? How?
How the fuck did you get holy magic? You look and smell like a demon.
The guard held his wrapped hand, letting the beads around it jangle with sudden motion.
I've had the ability to use holy magic ever since I was taken in by my lady's family. There's no doubt that I am a demon, but I can't recall how I gained this ability.
How is holy magic different than demon magic?
It's white magic. Unlike demon magic, holy magic isn't so finicky. Think of it as warding or dispelling magic. You can't bless air or anything that doesn't have physical form, but you can bless objects to fight back against other forms of magic.
If the walls were blessed with holy magic, the Demon Lord wouldn't be able to escape until we released him.
Why not just trap him forever?
That's idiotic. He would still be a threat regardless. Holy magic doesn't last forever. And stone will crumble eventually.
He's right. We wouldn't be able to keep the walls up forever.
The situation became more and more complicated as we discussed it. How are we going to go about this?
We can't just sit around and debate this forever. The longer we wait, the more we risk him striking back at us.
But is it worth killing someone to trap him?
When we finally strike, we will lose hundreds, if not thousands, of soldiers anyway. What difference will it make to lose one more life on top of this?
Soulless fuck.
We can still cage him in.
I bit my lip. It was a really tough decision, a curse or a trap, which was better. Both had their prices, but we had to choose one. From the look of it, no one wanted to speak up, so I felt the urge to say something. Maybe I would be the one to determine everything. But which would be the best choice? So, I mean, normally I would say, like, oh, since I'm doing Sam's route and he's more ruthless, that we would actually do the curse. But the subplot that I want to do is, Sergeant, and he's clearly against it. So I feel like my best option would be to do the trap. Everyone in the room looked at me as I finally spoke up. Yeah. When can you put a barrier up?
We can leave after this, meeting is over.
Are you sure this is the best choice?
The curse isn't the only option. We need to show that we're better than him. Now everyone nodded, some in reluctance while others did with confidence. I looked at Diana just in time to catch a twitch from her visible eye, but she shook her head and looked to the rabbit woman.
Are you quite positive this will work?
I am very certain. Since it will be just 3 of us going, we can shadow travel there and be back by the morning.
Diana looked at her guard and nodded.
Very well. If you believe it will work, then I trust you will make sure it does.
As the guard nodded and slightly bowed, the other demons seemed to let out a sigh of relief. Were they worried about performing the curse? Diana shook her head before crossing her arms and looking directly at me.
So, since you'll be here for a while, we might as well give you names that you can use to refer to everyone here.
Are we getting human names?
Must we?
Diana rolled her eyes and gestured to each demon, naming them on the fly.
For the sake of time, we'll use simple names. This is Rabbit, our magic advisor. Sergeant, commander of our armies. Shadow, leader of our assassins. And Faye, our nomadic force ambassador.
Sergeant? I'm a commander, succubus. Shouldn't my name be Commander?
It's easier on the tongue, though, to say Sergeant.
My lady, what shall they call me?
Diana looked at Cero for a moment before turning towards me, a look of seriousness emanting from her eyes.
You may call him Cero. He is my personal guard, and he is always by my side.
The other demons in Seto seemed to be surprised. Was Seto his true demon name? Why would she give me his true name?
Are you sure?
Call him only if your life depends on it. Do not abuse this permission.
Her eyes seemed to burn as she gazed into mine, full of hard intent and warning. I mentally noticed her seriousness as she ran a hand through her hair.
Well, now that we have a plan and introductions are out of the way, I believe we can end this meeting. We have a lot to accomplish in 1 week.
Yes.
What about us? You don't expect us to sit around.
Actually, I do. You all don't belong on the battlefield.
Now listen.
I will not take untrained and unarmed beings into a war zone.
Hold on. I interjected, stepping forward and crossing my arms at Diana. She seriously wasn't going to make us stay back while she fought the demon lord, was she? We can fight too! Diana squinted at me, pressing her lips together into a fine line. However, I meant what I said. We could fight too, and we literally just proved it, like we've gotten you to a chokehold twice.
You expect me to trust that you can fight in a war?
Yes.
Let me and my brothers train then. We're demons, for fuck's sake. We know how to fight.
The boys stared at Diana as she turned her head towards Sam. He was right, though. They knew how to train, so they knew how to fight. If they fought with the rebellion, there would be a better chance of winning this war.
You all realize this is a war, correct? You can die here.
We understand completely.
We understand too.
Diana can only stare at her group as we challenged her proclamation. I wrapped my head around my fiancé's arm, frightened at the idea of participating in a war, but knowing that we needed all the strength we could muster to finish off the demon lord. This was the only way that I could go home. Defeated, Diana sighed and rubbed her temples.
Very well. I can't exactly keep you here like prisoners, so it will be up to you if you choose to train for battle. However, I highly suggest just staying here and allowing us to handle it.
I nodded, as did the others. This was really happening. We were going to kill the demon lord, and we had 1 week to either prepare for war or wait it out. Diana turned towards me and looked at my outfit. I had nearly forgotten that I was still in my wedding dress until Diana pointed at my chest.
Lumen infere, bellum tabescere, serene.
I stared at her, unsure of why she was speaking in Latin, until I felt the fabric around my body shift and change. I quickly looked down to see my wedding dress morph into an outfit that looked perfect for the demon world. The white top shifted into a long-sleeved, oversized tunic with a leather corset and vest, while the bottom part of my gown split and wrapped around my legs, forming into dark leggings. My shoes stretched into long, knee-high boots.
Ooh, interesting outfit.
I blushed, getting used to the feel of the outfit. The corset wasn't tight, but it was still something new along with the rest of the garb. Sam looked at me up and down before glancing away, blushing a bit. Aw, he likes it.
You look good.
Thank you. Thanks.
Faye, Rabbit, you both should finish your preparations and head over to the Demon Lord's castle for the spell.
I take great joy in making him happy.
How are we going to get there?
We're gonna fuck our
I'll
way
get
there.
us there, no problem.
Just make sure we don't get stuck there or lost.
No promises.
Sarah, make sure the job is done.
I shall, my lady.
I shall, my lady.
Seto, Faye, and Rabbit began to make their way out of the room as Diana turned to me and my group. As they left, Diana let out a small sigh.
I will take you to some rooms you may rest in.
Thank you, Diana. Diana merely nodded and led our group out of the room towards our new temporary rooms. The walk to our room became a silent journey. Sam and I held hands, but for some reason there were no words to say between us. The entire situation sat in my mind and festered, plaguing my thoughts and causing me to remain speechless. Aw. All of this seems so unreal and hard to imagine, let alone believe. How is this possible? I felt Sam gently squeeze my hand, causing me to look over at him. Was he feeling my anxiousness somehow?
Hey, you sure you're all right?
I don't know, man. This is overwhelming for me. I stared at him a bit longer before replying. Yes or no? I'm tempted to say no, just because it's like, I mean, we're like perturbed, you know what I mean? We're gonna say no. I wasn't alright. All of this was a muddled mess, and I couldn't help but worry. It had to have been obvious anyway for Sam to notice and ask. Sam frowned a bit and released my hand to wrap his arm around my shoulders. Ah, much better. Yes! Score! I got the right answer.
We'll get back.
We will. Will we? I couldn't deny the doubt that entered my mind and influenced my response, but Sam gave me a small shake, nodding.
We will.
I eventually let out a sigh and nodded as well. He was right. I needed to shake this feeling out of my mind. Sam and I were guided through the hallways until we finally reached our room, which happened to be the ambassador room I had slept in before. It was good to know that I was going to a place I recognized. I sat on the bed and let out a sigh, feeling the worry of the entire situation sink and fade out of my mind. I wasn't alone, at least anymore, and Sam was willing to fight for me to return home. It was unexpected, but it was amazing to have Sam here. Sam looked around the room, taking in the space.
Fancy room.
Yeah, apparently it's an open ambassador's room. They let me sleep here when I came.
That was how long ago?
Like a day. Sam laughed and stuffed his hands into his pockets. What was so funny?
Oh, fuck. I forgot the time difference between this world and the human world.
Wait, time difference?
Yeah, time goes slower here and stuff. So, like, while you've been here a day, you've only been gone from the human world for 4 or 5 hours.
Wait, huh? I was only gone for 4 or 5 hours? How is that possible? Then again, I was in another plane, so it was somewhat understandable. My brain just couldn't wrap around it, so I held my hand, staring at the floor in shock. Or held my head. Sam laughed again and walked over to me, sitting by my side before he wrapped an arm around my shoulders in comfort. Aw, look at his cute little face. Aw, he's so cute.
At least we found you. If it weren't for Damien and Twilight, it would have taken us longer.
I nodded, relieved regardless of how I was found. While I couldn't get back, there was a beacon of hope now, which replaced my previous worry and concern. I leaned my head onto Sam's shoulder, feeling exhaustion hit me like a wave, but I didn't want to sleep just yet. I was with Sam, so I wished to stay up a bit longer and be awake with him. Sam?
Mm-hmm?
I didn't know what to say. I just wanted to be awake a while longer. I looked up to him as he turned his head to look down at me, patiently waiting for me to ask whatever he assumed I was going to ask. Help me stay awake, or sorry, it's nothing. I hope this doesn't lead to less sexy times, but I want to say help me stay awake. If I want to stay awake longer, then Sam needed to help me do that. Sam looked down at me and turned our bodies gently to face one another.
What do you want me to do?
Anything. Oh, shit. Okay. Okay. I didn't want our reunion to end for the day with us just going to bed. A kiss, a hug, a conversation, anything was acceptable as long as I got to be awake that much longer. Sam gently lifted my chin and lowered his head to kiss me, allowing me the choice to take his lips with mine by stopping a mere centimeter away. I took it and melted into the kiss, wrapping my arms around him. Oh boy. My head and my heart became full of Sam, feeling his heartbeat against my chest, tasting his lips against my own. Memories flooded back of us holding one another, and I began to mentally thank God for letting us be together again. Yay! Sam wrapped his arms around my waist, pulling me close but not taking us any further. Oh, good. The kiss was slow, intimate, and romantic in every form. That was yet another thing I loved about Sam. He knew when to take things slow with me and when not to get deeper than that. He respected me, loved me, and wanted to protect me with his entire being. I was blessed to have him as mine and mine alone. Yay! As we pulled away at last, Sam let a smug grin paint his face.
Well, I guess one good thing came out of this. I get to kick my old man's ass.
That is true. I knew Sam hated his father, but was it really a good thing? In retrospect, yes. Morally, it was questionable. You really hate him, don't you? The smile on Sam's face slowly diminished into an angry expression. His eyes full of rage, but his mouth pressed into a fine line.
Yeah, I do.
I see. Sam slowly stood back up and walked towards the fireplace, staring into it with his hands clenched into fists at his sides. He's scary.
That bastard made me and my brothers miserable for years. We finally escaped, and then he grows the balls to try to steal the woman I love away from me.
That is a good reason to hate him. Sam.
That bastard kills for fun. He burns kingdoms to the ground for not submitting to him, and murders hundreds just because he can. He has a fucking harem of people and replaces every one of them with prisoners of war by the handful.
That's terrifying.
If he had gotten his hands on you, if he even touched you, I would have... His
fists tightened at his sides. I stared wide-eyed as Blood little by little began to drip through the crevices of his fingers. Oh, damn! I stood and rushed over, laying myself across his back and pressing my forehead against the back of his neck. Sam, it's okay. I'm right here. I looked up as Sam turned around to face me. He didn't touch me, as his hands were still wounded from his tight fists, but his expression dimmed a bit to a look of sadness.
I would have never forgiven myself if you fell into his hands.
Aww. I stared deep into Sam's gaze, seeing the fear behind them. I was scared as well, but thankful to be saved by Seto and Diana. Someone above was watching over me carefully, and I thanked God for that. I wrapped my arms around Sam's neck and leaned in my head to his, pressing my forehead to his own. I'm safe now. Diana and Seto saved me from that.
Thank God for that.
Sam wrapped his arms around me, fist still closed, and pulled me to him tightly. I could see him biting his lip, almost piercing the skin, but maintaining some form of control. I frowned but allowed silence to pass between us. We'll defeat the Demon Lord and go home soon. Sam nodded against my forehead, remaining quiet. We had to let this pass. We had to move on and mentally prepare ourselves for war. Sam would get his anger quelled, and we would be able to return home at last. And aren't we forgetting something? We could get married here, bro! We had to. Sam and I eventually pulled away from each other, locking our gazes lovingly.
Come on. We can't stay up all night.
Come on. Time moves slower. We could have some fun. No, we can't. I know. Sam lifted his hand, which was now free of wounds and blood, and guided me to bed, crawling in after I settled in between the sheets. Sam and I embraced lovingly and let the darkness of the night take over, bringing us to a quiet slumber. The dark of sleep was usually a friend of mine, only showing me nightmares on the rarest of occasions. Didn't I say earlier that I got nightmares often? Whatever. The nightmare of my dying sent shivers down my body as I recalled it, but I knew that it was only a dream. Would I have one like that again? I hope not. Would I have no choice in the matter if another came? That was another story. I opened my eyes to find myself in the mouth of the cave that descended beneath the earth. Behind and above me was a bright light, where I could see my friends and family. However, as I looked down into the darkness, I caught sight of Sam walking away further into the cave. Sam? He didn't answer. Sam continued forward, losing himself in the dark. I instantly began to follow, forgetting about the light for a moment, before stopping and looking back. My family had a look of despair, while my friends held each other, watching me with heartbroken faces. Was this some sort of message? Was I following Sam into a place my friends and family could not be in? Was this my future? Ooh. I became torn. What was I going to do?
You are not worthy.
The fuck? Who are you to say, bitch? Ah! All of a sudden, the darkness became full of fire, and the bare outline of Sam flashed before, burning away in the light of the flames. He couldn't even let out a scream of pain as he was instantly burnt to ash. Sam!
Run! Run!
Oh shit! Diana's voice echoed through the air, but I was frozen in place, watching the flames rush at me to take me as well. I ran back. My heart would be scarred forever with the memory of flames taking my love away. If I stayed, I would die with Sam. Might be better than living without him. I stood in the middle, unsure of what to do. As his flames took me, I woke up in a hot sweat. Gah! Gripping the covers, I sat up, staring at the far wall before looking around. My heart was beating wildly as sweat ran down my cheeks and the sides of my head. Another nightmare. This time, however, Sam woke up with me.
Whoa! Hey, what's wrong?
Sexy, shirtless Sam. His proportions are a little weird. Like, his arms should be a little bit more bulky if his shoulders are going to be like that shape. But whatever. He's got abs. Can't complain. I looked at Sam, seeing him not burnt or as ashes, but perfectly okay. I turned toward him and wrapped my arms around him tightly, now desperate not to let him go. Sam, despite being surprised, wrapped his arms around me and held me close. 2 nightmares, both leaving me and Sam engulfed in flames. I died in the first. He died in the second. What was I going to believe anymore? Sam rubbed my back gently and planted a kiss on my shoulder.
Hey, it's okay, all right? It was a stupid nightmare.
Yeah, but you died.
You know I can handle anything that comes my way.
Oh, don't you pull this, I'm super strong bullshit. Come on. Could he really? He was strong and he was fast. but who is powerful enough to withstand whatever had let loose flames to swallow him whole? Or was he powerful enough to withstand the flames? Right. You are not worthy. What did that voice mean? How was Sam not worthy? What was he not worthy of? I thought the voice was talking to me. I thought it was saying I wasn't worthy. There were a million questions running through my mind, and none of them could be answered, at least not at that moment. I simply rested my head on Sam's chest and let him pull us back down to the bed to sleep.
Whatever happens, I'll always be here. All right?
I nodded and closed my eyes, praying that I would not see the nightmare again. As fate was kind once more, I slept peacefully the remainder of the night. Well, the plot thickens. I slowly woke up from my sleep, feeling the ache of the morning consume and rush through my body relentlessly in an attempt to keep me contained in bed. I didn't mind. I was pressed against a warm chest, one whose arms I adored to be in. The nightmare plagued my thoughts, but my heart fluttered in reality, knowing that what I was feeling in the physical world was what I was supposed to care about. I looked to see Sam's sleeping face, giggling at the sight of his messy, wild hair. Sam slowly woke up from the sound of my laughter, blinking the sleep away to stare down at me.
Morning.
Morning. Ohio. I smiled and kissed Sam on the lips to help rouse him, only to end up being pulled into a tight and loving embrace with my head buried in his shoulder.
Did you sleep okay?
I did, in your wonderful arms. The second time, yeah. Sam nodded in understanding against my shoulder as I wrapped my arms around him. I felt so warm and safe within the confines of his embrace that the thoughts of the nightmare I had vanished from my mind. It would come back, but it was gone for now. Nuzzle into his shoulder or kiss him again. Let's kiss. I pulled back a bit and kissed Sam once again, smiling happy and running my fingers along his back. Sam gently squeezed me and kissed me back, melting into the embrace between us. Morning kisses with Sam felt wonderful, and I didn't want to get up or pull away. I simply desired to relish in the feelings I had for Sam and let him completely take over my thoughts.
Hey.
Yes? Yeah?
Since we're in the demon world, do you think that maybe...
I opened my eyes to look over his shoulder, trying to understand what he was insinuating. When it finally came to me, I held my breath in realization. The demon marriage?
You don't have to decide right now, but before we go back, maybe think about it?
I wasn't sure what to say. My mind danced around the idea of binding my soul to Sam, but at what cost? I'll think about it. Sam nodded in understanding, kissing my shoulder. I knew it was something Sam really wanted, but was it something I was willing to go through? Sam gently loosened his embrace and pulled away to look at me with a tired smile.
I don't want to get up yet.
Me either. A man after my own heart, one that doesn't want to get out of bed. I laughed, knowing this was how Sam operated in the morning. He was definitely not a morning person, so seeing him curl up to me and ask for permission to stay in bed was still an endearing sight that reminded me how much I loved him. My heart warmed as I smiled and kissed his forehead. Then we don't have to. We can sleep a little longer if we want. Sam smiled and closed his eyes, pulling me against his chest with a hearty chuckle.
Good. We can go eat later.
Our peace was broken, unfortunately, by the sound of knocking at our door. Sam and I let out a simultaneous groan. Our plan was ruined!
Go away!
I love him. He's great.
Sam, we brought breakfast.
The other brothers are just like, ugh.
Well, eat later!
Are you seriously going to argue with me?
Come on, it's like 9 a.m.
Now I was getting upset. I wanted to stay in bed, feel Sam's arms around me for a little while longer. Was that so much to ask? Screw breakfast. We have 3 more hours until noon.
Oh my god, just get up already. We're burning daylight here.
Sam and I whined, now irritated that our plans to sleep in became ultimately impossible. However, we both understand that today was a new day, and we had to start preparing to take on the Demon Lord. I slowly rose up and sat up in bed, yawning as Sam begrudgingly followed suit. All right, come in. The door opened, and in poured the Incubi brothers and their wives carrying a plate of food each. James and Iridessa held out 2 extra plates for me and Sam. Oh, my eyes got like mascara in them or something. They're like burning. Makes it hard to read.
Thanks, Tessa.
Huh? I love that nickname.
You're welcome, Sparky.
Aw, his name's Sparky. I love it. Thank you, James.
Of course.
James and Iridessa moved away from us as we both looked down at our plates. On it were fruit slices, bread, cheese, and some sort of jerky I didn't recognize. It was probably safe, knowing that the others were eating it as well. Sam, however, lowered his plate to his lap and looked up at his brothers.
So, what's the plan?
Well, we should probably take the next couple of days to train properly. Since we're in Lilith Castle, we'll have access to training equipment.
Lilith Castle? This place has a name. The boys and Irene, Eric's wife, nodded in reply. Sam stuffed a stick of jerky in his mouth and began to chew on it as Damien began to explain.
The first succubus, Lilith, was exiled here after being cast out of Eden by the heavens. She became a demon and soon began to breed more incubi and succubi than the world could control.
Well, yay? Wait, Lilith as in Lilith from the Bible? Okay, so for any Christian viewers, I was Christian for a very long time, and Lilith, the story of Lilith is not in, at least it's not in the Protestant Bible. I'm not sure about the Catholic one, but for those who don't know, which they might explain, but probably in a more like fantastical, fit something to fit this story. But the real story of Lilith is that Lilith was Adam's first wife, and basically she wanted to the story literally goes that she wanted to ride Adam sex position wise, she wanted to be dominant, and God was like, no, women can't be on top, so smite. And yeah, she was smited as a demon, and so the part about becoming a demon is true. And a lot of Christian lore, Lilith is seen as not only a warning, but she's also seen as oh, women are bad, because we want to be dominant or something, and and so that sort of thing. Just so you know that this has some basis in truth, which I say truth in the way of this is part of Christian mythology. It actually is part of the Bible. It's just not part of every Bible. Anywhoza, that's Lilith's story. And so now, actually, Lilith and her story has become kind of I don't want to tie her with feminism, but kind of a symbol in, more modern times as a kind of an outcry against the whole women need to be submissive. Women aren't equal to men, blah 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 blah. That whole garbage. So she's become kind of a symbol of just because women can be dominant doesn't mean that we're demons. You know what I mean? So anywhoza, that was a long aside. But continuing on, let's see what they say about Lilith.
Yes. During her time here, she established a kingdom with this very castle at its heart.
It's a pretty castle indeed. I've never had the pleasure of coming here.
Are you a demon or a witch?
I'm not really a fan of it.
Sam swallowed the bite of jerky he had in his mouth and licked his lips, joining the conversation.
Alright, so we train until we can't anymore.
Obviously, we'll need breaks in between, but we can't afford to let a day go by without intense training. We only have a week after all.
Sam's just I'm fucking ready. Worry began to bubble in the back of my mind. Everyone was willing to step up and start training but Eric was right. We only had a week to prepare for the Demon Lord. Would we be strong enough in time?
You fear too soon, child.
Who the fuck is talking to me? Is it God? Oh my God, I totally bet it's God. Huh? I straightened out my back and looked around, hearing the voice from my dream echo in the air. Everyone else looked at me curiously, wondering why I spoke up.
Wait, what?
Did you say something?
I looked around at everyone, seeing their confused faces. Did they not hear the voice?
They cannot hear me, child.
They're calling me child. It's gotta be God. God's calling to me, guys! He's finally heard my prayers! I shook my head, rubbing it gently with a nervous laugh. Sorry, I thought I missed something. Confusion in everyone's faces dissipated as everyone got back to the topic at hand, one I couldn't remember or focus on. My thoughts went back to the voice, wondering how it was speaking to me and how it knew what I was thinking.
I am closer than you imagine.
This is weird. What do you mean?
Be patient, child. The time for answers will come soon enough.
Well, that's ominous. God. I grew more and more concerned and confused. What was the spirit talking about?
I am no mere spirit.
He's totally God. Then what are you?
That I cannot tell you.
He's God.
When the time comes, you will know.
Dun dun dun. That was mildly scary. A voice in my head was speaking to me, and I could only speak back in my thoughts without anyone knowing what was going on. Damien could be reading it. I looked around to see everyone still speaking to each other, but I couldn't focus on what they were saying. All I could focus on was the voice in my head.
Answers will come when the time is right. For now, I will bid you farewell.
Wait.
Whoa. Wait, what?
Shit. I didn't realize I spoke aloud until everyone looked to me again. I looked to Damien, wondering if he heard everything going on in my head, but he seemed just as confused, if not more so than the others.
You alright? ...
Let it go or tell them. I'm gonna tell them. Communication is key. I sighed. They had to know what was going on. Well, I just heard this voice in my head.
Huh?
A voice in your head? But I didn't hear any other voice but yours.
Did it sound like anyone you know?
I shook my head, remembering the sound of it. It was deep and echoey, masking any relatable trace from it. For all I knew, it was some sort of illusionary creation of my own mind. Then again, if I created it, then Damien would have been able to hear it. I sighed and rubbed my head. It was some sort of deep voice telling me to be patient and not to be afraid. It wouldn't tell me its name. Sounds very biblical. I became worried about everyone thinking that I was crazy. I knew I wasn't, but I definitely sounded like someone who wasn't mentally there. Sam, however, wrapped an arm around me and hugged me to his side.
Well, whoever that voice is, it's right. There's nothing to be afraid of.
I wouldn't be too sure about that just yet.
I agree. Everyone in the room turned their heads to see Diana and Seto staring at the door. Diana stepped further into the room as Seto stood at attention, watching her.
You 5 have been gone during the 10 years of this war. You do not seriously believe that you will be ready for this in a mere week, do you?
Diana seemed firm and serious. I could understand why, but part of me felt a bit angry that she shut down our pep talk. Sam glared at Diana.
And if we do?
Then it is a foolish mistake.
How so?
10 years of absence can be unkind to one's abilities.
To be fair, it has only been 2 years for us.
Regardless, when was the last time any of you actually fought in battle?
Silence consumed the room. She was right. However, we weren't willing to give up that easily. I stood and placed my plate on the bed beside me. Why does it matter? We're going to defeat the Demon Lord either way.
We will. But there is no reason to try and breed ideas of false hope that it will be easy. Too many lives have been lost in this war, with the hope that they'll all survive. It's better to be realistic.
The tone of her voice echoed a heavy warning. No doubt she had seen hundreds or thousands of deaths in the war firsthand, but now was not the time to doubt ourselves. Sam stood up as well, standing at my side in defiance.
Fuck that! If you're right, then hope's the only thing we got.
Diana's like, well. Seto stepped up to Diana's side, giving Sam a blank stare in return for his mistress.
Hope can only take you so far. Do you truly believe it will help you defeat the Demon Lord?
Yeah? Saw Sam take my head and nod, affirming his words. I smiled and squeezed his hand, agreeing. Seto and Diana stared at us with Diana crossing her arms. Something was on Diana's mind as she stared at Sam just from looking in her eyes. What was it?
Can you say that with confidence?
I can. Want me to?
Not to derail the topic, but this is a waste of time. We should be preparing for war, not bickering about if we can or not.
Yeah. A moment of silence passed through the room as Diana stared at Cam sternly. What did I even say? I don't even know. However, she was distracted, distant from the conversation as if she were stalling time to have her thoughts wander. What was keeping her real attention?
Well, I'm not going to argue about this. Believe what you wish.
Sam and I waited and watched as Diana lowered her arms to her side with a sigh.
However, we do have something to discuss.
So this is the part where I get to choose my trainer.
So, about all of you participating in the war, you all obviously need to train.
Everyone nodded in agreement. She looked to me.
You, most of all.
Why?
Apparently, there are guidelines to breaking this curse. Not only do we have to kill the Demon Lord, but you have to be nearby when it happens for the curse to even break.
That makes no sense. Where did you learn this?
Shadow. He spent the night trying to find alternative ways to break your curse. Unfortunately, we didn't find anything of the sort, but we found the guidelines to breaking it. Even while it doesn't, it's still better to be safe than sorry. I don't want to kill him and then still have you stuck here because of an error.
So, yes.
Anyway, we can't have you dying on the way there, and we can't monitor you when we're in battle. You should at least know how to defend yourself. That's why we've come up with a solution.
Huh? What solution?
Simple. The other rebel leaders and Sarah have agreed that if you'd like a trainer to enhance your abilities, you can train with one of them.
So Sarah
Each
steps
of the
forward,
leaders is proficient in a
blah, blah, blah. I'd like to train. What would the others teach me?
Sergeant Shadow, Rabbit Faye.
Okay. I choose Sergeant. Diana nodded. Sergeant was the military commander, and I could tell he was strong just from looking at him. He was my best bet in learning how to defend myself. With that, Diana turned on her heel and left the room.
Finish eating. Afterwards, you should start training.
Everyone in the room nodded their affirmation as Diana and Seto left.
Well, it looks like we'll be busy for the next couple of days.
This'll be fun.
Man, training's gonna suck.
It'll be worth it, though.
Damien's right.
As we all finished eating, everyone left to either train or do things on their own. I left to start my own work, determined to be prepared for what was to come. The Demon Lord wasn't going to win. I wouldn't let him. Okie dokie. That's where I'm going to stop for now. So we got our trainer set up. We've got God talking to us in our head. Sam is super cute and super angry. And that's basically all that happened. So, thank you for joining me on this wonderful journey. Hopefully I will be back soon. I am so hungry right now. Thank you for being guests, and I will hopefully see you in the next one. Bye!